organization, like collaborating and stuff, like how do you see like the cop blockers and that sort of thing connecting? And
Well, I already see, well, first I didn't see it until, after you left, and we started getting all these contacts. And what it is that there are conscious people. It showed me there's a lot of conscious people that see things similar. He and I clicked as soon as we talked on the phone. And then, actually after the interview, which I thought was well edited, by the way, I never had a chance to talk to you, well done. And people really responded very, very well. I mean, it's amazing. And that, for me, it shows that, there's a lot more positive than are negative people as relates to the subject matter. For me, it's really serious because I was standing there. I'm still traumatized, growing up in the suburbs and then coming to a place, and I was in denial. Let me be clear about that. If you said the police did X, Y, and Z, I would say, I don't think so. I think you did something to make the police mad at you.
Right.
And, that's where I'm from. And I'm me, I didn't even know I had any rights ever. So, the things I've seen, I actually saw a kid walk up to a guy they call Preacher, because he's so nice. And as he walked up, he said, "Sir, I respectfully ask for your name and your badge number." And I was talking to this sergeant right here at this distance because he was mad because I jumped on a guy's car because he was threatening to hurt a police officer. He actually came over and slapped a police officer for dealing with these guys. These guys were the violent individuals. They were the violent people you're supposed to, if you're going to use violence, these are the violent guys. They needed that beating, not the women, children, and the elderly that you're harassing. In this case, this kid, as I was telling him about by the way, let me tell you what your officer did. He was actually doing a good thing. A bad guy was threatening to hurt another officer, and you slapped him, which, another subject. But anyway, as I was telling him that, this kid walks up, and I was going to tell him the next part of the story, which is, do you realize you just choked a victim? There was a guy who was hit. The kid got hit and was halfway unconscious, stumbled into the police car. The police officer, sergeant, jumps out, puts the kid in a chokehold, and I was just like, that's the victim. You're choking the victim. You're choking the victim. The guy over here, and then after he hit him, he walks away, and he's like, "I'll do you too. I'll do you." And he was talking to us. And all my men were standing like this. And the reason why we didn't do anything while we're standing there is because we have been threatened by the police. That if we do anything, we're going to be arrested. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care what happens. So we had to sit there and watch this kid attack 4 other kids. Then, he's a boxer, by the way. When I say kid, I mean he's hit really good attributes. He hit 4 people before they could move. These guys would put their hands up before they could move. He hit all 4 of them really well. And he hit this last one. This kid fell into the police car. Officer jumps out, puts him in chokehold. He goes around the corner, slams another officer to the ground, which is an older guy. He's about to retire. And so he doesn't see him get slammed. And so I was going to tell him this story when the kid walked up. And it's real. That just happened like within the last 5 minutes. So I was like, Sergeant, I'll tell you what happened. Did you realize these are the victims? And this kid says, "Sir, respectfully ask for your name and your badge number." And I was like, I was going to say, I wouldn't do that. Please, no. He grabs the kid by the throat, slams him to the ground. The kid is like in loafers and a V-neck sweater.
Nerd kid.
Yes, college. It's clearly a college kid. It's like, that law enforcement officers have to X, Y, and Z. It's probably some law enforcement officer's kid or a lawyer's kid. I can imagine that's because that's what I got from him. He really thought there was someone out here, some law to protect him. I meant to tell him, you're out in the dark. He's got a gun. There's no lawyers here, no judges. There's nothing to help you. Your parents aren't here. And the kid slammed down on the ground. Dust goes everywhere. He's crying. And he goes, "Now what do you want?" He goes, "I want to leave." And he goes, "That's what I thought. Now go on home now." So, and then I looked at him, and he's like, "You were saying?" I was like, "You just hit a kid. You just choke slam a kid who asks you for your name and your badge number." Then I have to go to these meetings, these public meetings, and they're like, "Officer, what about your officers? What about?" And they're talking, and I remember all those events. I was there, standing there when they did these things to people. And for example, to give an example of how close it becomes for me, let's say he continued. If he had continued, I would have overstepped my boundaries physically. That could have ended my future here, right? Because there's no way I could allow him to continue to assault this child. That would never happen. So the fact that he threw him down, that was about as much as I would be able to tolerate. And I've been very fortunate to they've never overstepped too far in front of me, around me, because I know I can't control myself when it gets to a certain level. Another time they, and then like the adrenaline junkie thing. So don't you think like they're like really into adrenaline, like there's violence, they're gonna run over there? I got video. I got this one video of 30 thugs attacking, and there's 30 police officers in what's called the tactical services section. They have gas masks and extra batons and all kinds of stuff. 30 of them, a mass number. 30 criminals. They're attacking a man. He's bleeding arterial blood from his lungs. The police officers kind of standing around. I was like, what do you guys, those guys like riot batons and all that stuff, you just run over there, right? They're not running over there to do anything. We run after these guys, chase them out of the area. We start giving first aid to the guys that are bleeding from their, literally you can see blood like pumping out of their back. The police are 15, 20 feet away from us. They're not like across town, they're right here. And they're in a wall, like, okay, do your thing, it's a gang or something, do your gang stuff. Nothing. So as we run over there, run up these guys, this sergeant comes over and we see them attacking these two guys, and as we rush, they take off and leave the two guys and they just run away. So we don't physically get a chance to interact with the gang as they see us coming and just leave the two bodies, the two guys. These other two guys are standing up against the car, and we're like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And he's trying to explain. He's like, "Oh, they attacked me and my brother. They just came from over there for somewhere. They came over from attacking some other people." And all of a sudden, this flashlight comes over the top of, like, right by my face. And the Detroit police were the only police in America that were not allowed to have a metal flashlight. And I remember thinking, that's dumb.
Screen? Yeah.
I was like, this is
The
dumb.
light.
How dumb is this, right? All of a sudden, this thing goes across right next to my face, hits this guy in the head. The flashlight breaks to a million pieces. My face gets cut. The other guy, my other team member's face gets cut. This guy has a gigantic lump on top of his head. The guy who hit him on the head is a sergeant. He's about 50-something years old. It's not some new kid on the police force. And from Detroit, grew up here in Detroit. Grew up, probably kids this age. And I'm looking at him and I'm going, am I bleeding? I was like, am I bleeding? I'm literally cut. My face is cut open. And I said, he's like, get out of here now. He's yelling at these kids. And I go, these are the victims. These are the victims. What do you mean victims? No victims. Nobody did anything. I was he's behind us. We're running. He's behind us running in a group. So he never saw what we saw, which is a group of people. But also because he wasn't looking. All he sees is us run up and sees two guys standing there and he wants to, what? They're not doing it. They're literally leaning on the car. There is no aggression here. And so my point in saying that is, it's a fantasy from television that they keep telling us it was a adrenaline drum, it was very hardcore. Well, I was there, and it's not, and they're not doing that. And as soon as it's really serious, Columbine High School, Columbine, remember? It's time to go out in a blaze of glory. They're inside shooting kids for a long time. There's a sign up there that says they're shooting kids. No one rushes.
Outside.
No one rushes in. They wait for a plan. And, I use that as a teaching analogy. We would never wait for a plan. So, that was your kid, if that was your little sister or brother in there, wouldn't you just go in there? Okay, if you've died, this is the time to die. Sometimes you may have to give your life away. This might be that time. What you're not supposed to do is live while other people's children are perishing. That is not supposed to happen. So all these things speak back to psychology. That's my point. Just you look at the psychological aspects. But getting back to your original point, yes, we want to expand and we want to find more people that are more interested in spreading the word about creating conditions where you don't let things happen. And that's what we need to focus on. That's really the key to many different aspects of what we see as failure, the incarcerations, all those things. So how can you be incarcerated if you didn't do anything? Yes. I'm
curious as to whether or not there's an aspect to which the niche for this sort of service almost requires that there is a certain level of unaccountability and brutality and mistrust of the police. Would you say that this service is like replicatable in a place where there's not already an understanding that the police are not there to protect your rights and maybe?
No,
dangerous?
I think I'll give you an example. We had a female here. We're hiding her and her children. They live in Saline, Michigan. Everybody's familiar with Saline?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We beat the police there from here when the guy cut off his van, and she
Okay.
disappeared. We
Okay.
beat the police to the home.
Wow. Hour drive at least.
Yeah.
Well, we have these semis on our trucks and they don't really harass us.
Well, how'd you
We
get to
a little
the
gas.
construction?
Yeah, that's a good point. Those were these trucks. No, it was amazing. We didn't have any construction. We got there, I think, in like 45 minutes, which is very hard to do.
Yeah.
It's lean. It's not even next to the highway.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe we beat the police there. I'm in shock. I'm still in shock, like years later. What was interesting, though, also when I was there, I remember these officers came to one of the situations where he was seen in the area hunting the ex-wife and children. And if she testifies, by the way, he's going to get a felony, which did happen. So he's trying to intimidate her into not saying anything, and he had been very successful up to this point. So we're literally staying with the family at the house in Salina. I have men there, stationed there, at all times, 24 hours a day during this time period where she's has to testify. And then we always try to get them to leave to go somewhere else if we can. If not, like in our case, she had no family situation that could support her, so we might have to stay at the house. And I usually try to get a male and female at all times to stay at the house with them for obvious reasons. And because relationships are not allowed of any type. So we try to always have a female there with a male. The situation there, the officers that were there, I remember one time they came there and we said, we'll explain what we're doing. And they said, and we're sitting there, in this case, by the prosecutor's office. And we're like, well, you guys could, be here, and then I don't have to have men here during the time you're here. So if you guys are here for 6 hours, and then we'll come after 6 hours, we'll give my guys a break. And, which is still kind of risky, because they, gotta watch their words, right? So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I can go with that. But the officer said, well, we really can't do that, because we got things to do. You know what they had to do? Set up a speed trap.
Revenue generate.
Right, revenue trap. I'm trying to keep these people alive. It's not my business.
Hey,
So,
Pete, how did you find out about Dale in the first place?